What is up, everybody, and welcome to today's stream. Miss you all last week. Sorry for skipping a couple of days, but I was traveling actually. So, what we're going to discuss today is something really, really important. Really took me a while to learn this, but now I think, I'm okay. And sorry. And this is about in what order should you write your papers, your qualitative papers, because that is what the channel is all about. So, the simple answer is you start by coding the results. Okay? Coding the results and outlining the results section. Not writing the results section, outlining the results section. So what you need to have super clear is what is the story that your data is telling you. And I use a very low level of interpretation in the results section, so you'll typically see that there are qualitative papers that do a lot of the analysis and discussion in the results section. I don't. My results sections are very empirical. They're typically organized about around whatever process I'm studying and just describe the steps of that process. So very much what was going on in the organization. A little bit inspired by quantitative papers where the analysis is not done in the results section. So first thing is you nail the structure of your results section, okay? After you nail the structure of your results section, then you have to answer the question, what is this paper about, okay? And for me, the mantra, the key question, the key meditation, if you will, for that is answering the question, what is this data, or what are these data, because data are plural, what are these data a case of, okay? So, for example, in my first MSQ piece on the dramaturgical production of performance data, I looked at the data that I had for that paper, and I had several stories available, right? So it could be a story about ethics. It could be a story, and it was for a long time, a story about supervision and the dilemmas that supervisors face. And eventually it ended up being a story about dramaturgical production of performance data versus the functional production of performance data. To come to this conclusion, you need to give yourself a long time to read. You need to read and do reading notes, okay? You need to allow yourself that time. And what you should be deliberately looking for is to reduce the gap between what's in your data and what's in your theory. And this is a huge temptation, right? It's a huge temptation to try to use data to sort of like support an idea that you think is cool. Your data, your answer to the question, what is this a case of, should be as close as possible to your data. So in the example of my dramaturgical paper, my data was about people reporting, producing performance data, and the theory was around the dramaturgical production of that. So I was basically qualifying the process that I was observing, okay? So then you do the theory outline, and there's a first iteration here where you look at the data and you think, is this theory good enough to reflect the data? And are the data good enough to talk about this theory? Sometimes there will be one or two things missing in your data. And so, for example, I have this paper where I'm looking at how people try to get the help of others. And I didn't write a paper about how people get the help of others. I have a paper where it's somebody trying to get the help of somebody else, and my model is just about the person trying to get help because I don't have data about people helping. Okay, so you really need to stay close to data. Then I write a discussion, and basically, as I've discussed previously in other videos, I end the theory section with a model, and I begin the discussion section with an extended and expanded version of that model. Okay, so how do I do that? Well, after writing the theory, I go back to the data and see, okay, what is new in my data? What can I add? And then, with that in mind, I first draw the model for the discussion, and only after that I draw the model for the theory. And sometimes I'll have to revise and add to the theory so that I have all of the theoretical material in the theory section to then describe the model in the discussion. Okay. After outlining the discussion, I recheck everything. So I go back to the data, I go back to the theory, make sure everything is integrated, that I have everything that I need, and then I write the conclusion. And for me, there are two types of conclusions. One is, normally my discussion has two parts, one that is closer to the data and the research question, and another one that makes a broader theoretical contribution. And sometimes I don't have space for the broader theoretical contribution in the discussion. This is what happened to me in the dramaturgical model, where the theoretical contribution, which is a new way of thinking about information systems and organizations, went to the conclusion. So I use the conclusion for that. If I don't need the conclusion for that, I try to take another step up in abstraction and talk about the theoretical implications for not only for the specific research topic of my paper, but for research on organizations writ large. Okay, and I typically give myself a little bit more license in the conclusion if I do that, and some of the things that I evoke in the conclusion will not be in the theory. Okay. The introduction is basically, I write it at the end, and what I'm essentially trying to do is I'm trying to write a hook for the paper. Okay, so hopefully this was helpful. Again, start with results, move to theory, discussion, conclusion, introduction. So hopefully this was helpful, and it will help you organize your work better for your paper. So, and good luck with that. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a good one.